we are here with Sally Whitney, who is a writer in academia, a researcher and writer into disability, working with the University of Sheffield and other academic areas. So, Sally, before we talk, I want everyone to take a look at this film.
My name is Sally and this is Ethan. Ethan and I will have been together for 4 years in May. I became unwell in the February before my A-level examinations. I started to feel unwell with symptoms of fatigue, pain, not being able to sleep and generally getting weaker. I deteriorated rapidly to the point of being bedbound and having seizures up to 4 times a day. I spent 8 months of my life in hospital in Romford, fed by a feeding tube. Much later, I was diagnosed with both Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and lupus, an autoimmune condition, as well as a host of other related conditions. In 2013, I had such a severe seizure that I stopped breathing. I was put on a breathing tube and went into intensive care in an induced coma. From then on, I was dependent on 24-hour care. I have permanently been in a wheelchair ever since. Before I had a K&M partner, I felt vastly different to how I feel now. I couldn't see how I would ever become a meaningful member of society again. I was trapped in my own home and I wasn't able to make contact with our outside world, so I felt isolated. Depending on family members and carers is difficult, but Ethan brings like a freedom to the oppressiveness that requiring 24-hour care can bring. Ethan can do a huge range of things for me, both at home and outside of the house. We're able to get ready in the morning together. Ethan will help me shower and then we'll go into the bedroom where Ethan will choose me my pants from my drawer. He then goes to get my wash bag, so I say spray, he opens the drawer, he gets it out, he puts it away again. Ethan also opens the laundry basket, he puts my dirty laundry in and closes the laundry basket again. These things seem small to others, but to me, they're really empowering. I'm now able to go to the bathroom and shower on my own. I always had to have someone with me to make sure that if I passed out, fell or had a seizure, that I would get immediate help. Ethan is now trained to throw open the bathroom door, run to find a carer, tap their thigh until they come, and he will lead them back to me in the bathroom. I've become visible again. I've become more confident to present myself to others, and I feel more a part of society. Ethan has in fact given me a chance at a family life, an opportunity I never thought I would have. He acted as my dog of honour, he walked me down the aisle, he was also the ring bearer. It was a fantastic feeling having Ethan with me in the church as we got married. I still need humans to carry out a lot of my care, but the tasks that Ethan and I can do together give me a sense of freedom and they bring real joy. I no longer have a dependence on others to make me feel safe and secure. He is a constant comfort.
Wow, that's an amazing film, Sally, and you can see there you're just growing up with this idyllic childhood, very athletic, skiing, wanting to be a doctor, and then at the age of 17, this sickness. And the amazing contribution that Ethan makes to your life. But you have another contributor as well.
Yes, and I believe there's an Ed in your life as well.
There is. There's an Ed and there's an Ethan.
Sally, I think that's your parents were Christians, and you brought up, I think, as a Christian.
So I was brought up as a Christian, and in fact my father's family are Catholic and I was raised a Catholic. It gave me a foundation for when life started to get really difficult. And that really evolved through me being unwell. Actually, it was during the really, really, really hard times that I realised how much I needed God, and actually that I could have more of a personal relationship with him. I feel like my life has been saved just over and over and over, but I also wouldn't have got through everything that I've been through without him and without my faith. You know, I've been in hospital for just under 8 months and being fed by a feeding tube, unable to move, and being given really poor care and treatment. I've been in intensive care multiple times, been on a ventilator. But the God that I know, so the relationship that I have with God, with Jesus, is one where he shows me vulnerability too. He shares my suffering. He knows probably more than, well, he does. He knows more than anyone what it is to go through suffering and pain. He knows that things can be really, really hard. And yet he loves me. And just having a God who can be personal, who understands that I am, his, I am made in the image of him. All of those things are hugely uplifting.
Now, we met through Bex, our daughter, who you've been friends with for the last 4 years, and she met you at Safe Haven. So you were volunteering at church.
Yes, yeah. So I sporadically am able to volunteer at Safe Haven Women at St. Peter's.
Just say what that is, what that means.
Safe Haven Women is a group which runs in the church building weekly and welcomes vulnerable women. It's just a place where anyone comes in who feels that like they need support, and we provide them with a hot meal, and we do some kind of beauty things. There's a lot of support and advice. There's a craft table. Even though I can't practically help them, I can be a listening ear. I can pray for them. I can give them hope.
That's a great example that people often think that if you have a disability that you're there to be prayed for, but
yes.
Actually that's a great example that you are there to minister to others. And it's important that the way that we look at people with disability and don't see them just as someone to be prayed for, but as someone who have a ministry just like anybody else.
To do that, we need to take a really intentional, empowering approach to disability. So let disabled people in the church be involved in coming up with how we include more disabled people. As I said before, 1/5 of the population has a disability of one kind or another. But we don't necessarily see that reflected in our congregation. Some of that will be because lots of people who have disabilities have invisible illnesses. So, it's not going to be as obvious as my wheelchair or somebody with a guide dog. I've actually started to realise that I do have value. And since being married to Ed, I realised that he's pointed out to me kind of my worth. And all of these things that I read in the Bible about being valuable to God, I think before I felt maybe they weren't applicable to me. But now I feel, you know what, I am his daughter, and I am made in God's image just as much as you two are. And my body isn't the same as yours, but none of our bodies are the same as each other. So if we're all made in God's image, then that must be something different. That must mean something different. And he loves me. And so let me kind of respect the fact that he loves me and he holds me as a valuable daughter, and let me do something with that.
So there may be people watching this, wherever they are, who are feeling pretty hopeless. Their circumstances aren't great. How do you live in that hope? And what would you say to somebody who's having a pretty awful time at the moment?
I don't know. I have this endless hope. And I think I've spoken to Archie about this, but one of my favourite verses is the one about suffering and perseverance, and that, building up your character, and then God pouring his love into my heart. When I'm going through it, I'm just a normal person. I can be upset and I can be sad and things can be really hard. But in hindsight, I look back, if that suffering and that chain leads to God pouring his love into my heart more, and knowing me more and me knowing him more, then there has to be some benefit in that. And always he's got me through. So we need to think outside of the box. We need to be intentional in the way we do things, and we need to have an empowering approach to disability. So we need to ask disabled people what they want, what they need. What are your needs? How can we accommodate you? And instead of it feeling like, oh, okay, we serve you, it's actually like, we're going to do this together, and we're all going to be involved in church. We're going to make it welcoming and accessible for all.
Yeah.
Sally, you're amazing.
Sally Whitney, thank you very much indeed.
Very inspiring.
Yeah,
really
wonderful.
Inspiring. So grateful to you for giving us all this time. Thank you.
You guys.